What is going on, guys? Quick one for you today. It is bright and early, but we've got here a lovely HQ coupe. Awesome, awesome car. So it was actually originally meant to be a wedding car for one of Rex's friends. Came here for a tune. It's just a stock bottom end L98 turbo, cam, yada yada yada. Turbo 400, 9-inch, really good converter. So it's been running for the past sort of 2 years. It sort of just came here for a quick tune before the wedding to try and get a few things sorted. Things like Mac valve, like boost control and stuff, that's new. So he wanted to get it tuned prior to that. So it'd been running fine for about 2 years before it came to us. Literally classic dyno session of a car, killed a turbo on the dyno. So unfortunately it meant we had to replace the turbo. Not that unfortunately really, but we did have to replace the turbo, which cost us quite a bit of time. So again, just another one of those things, guys. This does happen fairly often. People talk about how long it takes to do some things. Generally, every car that comes here for a tune ends up turning into like 4 or 5 days work, which is why some things take such a long time. But anyway, that's what it is. So it was running what we believe to be a Pro Boost. We think it's a Pro Boost. We're not 100% sure though. But either way, what we think happened is that on the dyno, this thing was loading up so hard. It's an absolute animal. The converter in it's freaking awesome. The boys reckon even just on the base tune that it was running for the past like 2 years, it just used to fry tires. And after seeing how the converter works, we don't doubt that at all. It's an animal. So it was loading up on the dyno heaps, and where the turbo was here, it was a very short run from the compressor housing straight into the intercooler just here, and there was just like 2 short joiners and a piece of alley there, so there wasn't a lot of room for that to move. So what we believe happened is it just had some rubber mounts. Not sure exactly what the engine mounts were, but we're pretty sure that the engine twisted enough that it actually pulled down on the compressor housing and maybe just pulled the compressor housing against the circlip or on the thrust washer or something, and it just sort of opened the core of the turbo a little bit and just grabbed the wheel and just wouldn't spin, basically, just cooked the turbo. So we got a new Pulsar G42 1450. So this thing, compared to what the Pro Boost was, is going to be a pretty wild unit. So it is running on E85. It is unfortunately running Holly. Basically, we knew that this thing was going to be a matter of when we ran out of turbo, when we were running that one. Now that we've got the G42 on it, this thing really sort of can go until we run out of something else. So, like I said, E85, Holly, Spock bottom and L98, now with a G42 1450 once we finish doing the fab work, and excited to see what numbers this thing spits out. So, looking forward to it. Just thought I'd film a quick little video for you. Here you go.
What if I told you the thrill of running a red light, chasing a recent bright memory through a bent pipe? When you get older, some just wanna hang fire with the rest of a soldier on, sleeping on the tram line. What's the point if we can't escape the landmine? Sand slides faster each day, one day we can die. We'll just ignore it, let the revs chant. I burn laps around the sun for face first to the campfire. Heart racing steps that seal the time, wasting both mine
preliminary results are in, and as we anticipated and expected, this thing is an absolute animal. But Rex rounded up just obviously on gate pressure to start with, just to see how it responded. And even on gate pressure, which none of the springs or anything have been changed, still picked up a couple pounds of boost. So that is just an indication of how much more efficient the exhaust wheel is, that it's using what would theoretically be the same amount of exhaust gas or exhaust energy and making, you know, I think it was an extra 2 PSI.
Close to, yeah.
Yeah, about 2 pounds of boost on the same gate spring setup, exactly the same setup. So yeah, very, very cool to see back to back just how much more efficient these G series wheels are than some of the old stuff. Very exciting stuff. So we're already at 600 wheel at just over 10 pounds. So yeah, it's looking good. And yeah, absolutely no lag with this converter and this turbo. This thing's gonna be a freaking animal. It's gonna be no worse than it was before with the old turbo as far as response, but it's just gonna eat. This thing is an absolute unit. It's an absolute animal, but we are reaching the limits of a few things in the combo. So firstly being the converter. So this car's had a few iterations. It was once a big block, then it was nitrous LS, and now it's obviously turbo. So I'm pretty sure the converter that's in it's still originally the converter that was from the big block. So
I think it was from one of his mates, but it was built for a big block.
Yeah, okay.
So I was told that.
Either way, obviously a very good converter. It's doing its job very well, but at this sort of power level that we're getting to, it's getting pretty unhappy. And you can start to see it in the runs. You can start to see the converter flare in the power.
The difference in these two runs, the green one was rolling the throttle in through the run to try and keep it happy. The red one, because I need to know that fueling everything's right sort of back here when it comes on boost. Earlier I made sure I actually gave it the good stab, and you can see how different the boost curve is. But when you do that, you can see that massive spike in power is basically the engine pushing through the torque converter and it over flaring. Then it sort of catches up here, and then we pick up sort of back where we were, and it runs across. So I'm going to back it down anyway from that 730 runs at like sort of, where was it, about 16 pound. We're going to back it down to here anyway, because that red run we're starting to see fuel pressure drop off, so we are running out of fuel pump. So I personally think too that we are still losing some at the tyres.
For a slip.
Yeah,
so that was what I was just about to say, guys. The third thing that we're getting to the limit of is these tyres. So getting to the limit of traction. We had 2 runs before where Rex chucked 2 degrees in between runs and didn't make any more power. Yeah. And
all of this, that's all rolled up rubber. You can see it in the wheel.
So Rex just did an adjustment on the strapped them a little bit tighter, and then the next run it actually made an extra 30 horsepower. So that's where the 2 degrees was. It was just lost in tyre slip. So definitely approaching the limit of this rubber in this combination. Limit of this converter, and like Rex was saying, we are running out of fuel pump.
The turbo just hits so fucking hard. Like it's just, that's why I was trying to roll the throttle in, just to keep the tyres hooked up. Like it's just an animal.
So like Rex was saying, he rolled it in on the green one and just stabbed it on the red, but there's no building boost on the converter. There's no loading it up on the converter. That's just, you know, break off, stab in the throttle. So the thing is just an absolute animal. Like we were saying, there is literally no lag. As soon as the softest converter, it's already on gate. So yeah. It's wild, it's crazy. So the other cool thing to note here, guys, is you see this boost curve. As you can see, there's pretty much no lag. It's basically, we're on gate pretty much straight away. But Rex is also saying he doesn't have to do any duty cycle adjustment through this run. So this is just the same duty cycle all the way through. And as you can see, boost is not falling off at all. It's still maintaining that boost perfectly. So this 128 housing on this G42 1450, we are not even close to approaching the limit of its capability. And yet, you know, you're talking about a 128 housing on a 1450 horsepower rated compressor side. So obviously the compressors that can adequately flow 1450 horsepower. So the fact that we're still not even close to the limits of this turbo, but we are not seeing any lag or any issue or any sort of even real linear, you know, coming on of this turbo. The fact that it's basically on gate straight away, maintaining boost the whole way through, and still not even close to its potential is just, for anyone who's fairly new to the car scene or car industry that hasn't, you know, been around for that long, the fact that we can do this and get this sort of result from turbo technology these days still is quite astounding to me. It's incredible. So, you know, back in the day, you would go through so many troubles of trying to work out or sort out a sequential turbo setup that had small to big, and try and get your, you know, your boost curve right for the whole way, and try and be able to get boost straight away but still have enough turbo in order to reach your power goals if you're doing big power stuff. And there was always hard ways to work around it, and there was always a trade-off. But you know, these days, if you size your turbo adequately, you can easily have a turbo that basically performs across the entire rev range for your combo. And it's just super, super cool that you can do that in this day and age. So anyway, that's the number, guys. That's the car. Pulsar G42 1450, stock bottom end 6 litre, cam package, the rest of the berries, gapped rings. And at the moment, 700 at the wheels, through a turbo 400 with a big converter and a 9-inch and these monstrous rear tyres. So a very, very good result for the end of the day. And we're out of fuel pump. There is potentially more to go with this thing if we have a bit more fuel pump, a bit better tyres, and maybe a converter change. Although I don't reckon we're going to see that. I reckon the combo at 700 horsepower is performing very adequately.
Well, I reckon that even as it was before, at the 480 or whatever it was that it came in here with,
yeah, before it killed the turbo,
they reckon it used to just blow the tyres off at any speed.
Yeah,
so
I don't doubt it the way the converter is.
Yeah, so I'd say even if he does want more power later, he's probably got. He did say that he's going to start setting the car up to actually hook up and stuff. So yep. I have a feeling that he'll probably spend a fair bit of time, and then once he gets to the point where he's able to actually use all of this power,
the potential,
then he might consider maybe going a bit further. But
yep.
I mean, it's a HQ 2-door. I feel like he probably won't want to go cutting it up to cage it. So I mean, how fast
do you want to go?
Like surely, like with this converter, it's trans braked.
Yep.
Like it's got all the berries. Like that'd be.
It's got the perfect power curve to be out of the hole. Good 60 foot. If you can get it to hook up, it'll go.
It's going to go fast enough that he would definitely have to cage it if he wants to go fast. So
yeah.
Cage, shoot.
Oh well, we'll just have to wait and see what the future brings for this big rig. But hey, it didn't make it to the wedding it was supposed to get to when it first got here. It's ended up being here for over 4 weeks. We didn't really go into it too much, but normally when we order turbos for stock from Pulsar, they're here like 2 days. They're so good. Really, really good company in that way. However, because we needed this one in a hurry, it ended up being over 2 weeks before it actually got here. No real fault of Pulsar turbos, just one of those things where crap happens and everything that could go wrong would. If it wasn't a turbo we needed in a hurry, it probably would have been here in 2 days, but because we needed it to get this car to this wedding, it ended up being delayed by 2 weeks. So this car's actually now been here for like 4 weeks. So it's awesome to see it done and finished and see the result. And I think everyone's gonna be super stoked with it. So thanks for watching as always, guys. Here you are. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Head to the shop, buy yourself some merch. Peace out, see you, bye.